Namaste. Welcome to Wise Owl Career Guide. Today we have Miss Harmeet with us, who's been making her career in the field of finance. Let's understand from her journey and what has she been doing through her career and where she started from. Welcome, Harmeet. Thank you for joining us today. So, Harmeet, before we get into your career journey, can you help us understand what is the educational background that you've had?
Okay, so I did my schooling from Delhi Public School, Bokaro Steel City,
Okay.
followed by my graduation in BCom honors from DU. While I was doing my graduation, I started pursuing my courses on chartered accountancy and cost accounting. And after completing graduation, I went on to finish these two courses. So basically, I'm a chartered accountant by profession.
Okay. So, Harmeet, some 20 years back, the pressure from the parents used to be more on science. Considering you could do chartered accountancy and cost accountancy at the same time, I'm sure your grades were good for you to be a science student. Was there a pressure?
So that's a good question because I come from an industrial township, as I said, and which is primarily full of engineers. So, their
Right.
kids mostly go for engineering or into the medical field. So, the normal perception there is if you're bright enough, you will either opt for a science or math as a subject. So,
Right.
since I was, amongst the top five scorers in class 10th, so my teachers also expected the same. They expected me to follow the norm. But thankfully, there was no pressure as such, but
Mhm.
my parents were very supportive. Maybe
Okay.
because I have three siblings. The eldest one
Okay.
had arts as a subject and is now a teacher. The second one is a doctor, and my
Okay.
brother is an engineer. So maybe commerce was the only field that was left unexplored. So my parents were very supportive in this case. But a bigger point of discussion in my case was whether to go for MBA finance or CA. And the reason
Okay.
was because in MBA finance, you have to put in efforts up front. But in CA, like there's no entrance examination, you clear the papers as you go. And it might
Right.
so happen that 3, 5 years down the line, and you either land up with half a degree or probably no degree at all. So that can
Right.
become tricky. And that was the reason my father especially insisted that I go in for MBA finance from a good institute, but I took up CA more as a challenge. I didn't do too much of research on the subject or the kind of job opportunities available back then, but I took it more as a challenge and went ahead with the course rather than my love for the profession or the subject.
Okay. So, after completing your courses, what was your first job?
So after I qualified, I started working with the same CA firm I did my articleship from. So in CA, you
Okay.
need to do a 3-year articleship, which is kind of an on-the-job training. And I joined the same firm I was working with for the past 3.5 years as their audit manager. And I did that for a very brief period before realizing that practicing is not the world I want to be in. And then I started exploring further on. So for a year or so, I continued with the same CA firm doing my regular auditing and accounting stuff.
Okay. So, when you started exploring, what were the options that you came across, and what is it that you took forward?
Okay, so I decided to look into the corporate sector, and there were, as compared to the opportunities today, there were limited roles available back then to CAs. And
Right.
though I did not go for MBA finance, but still, heart of hearts, I was more inclined towards something which was more analytical, rather than doing the typical, accounting and auditing and taxation kind of work. And I was
Right.
lucky enough to get my break with one of the biggest telecom operators in the country. And
Hmm.
the role that I was offered was something that I really resonated with. It was in their
Okay.
management analysis and reporting team. And though I
Okay.
started at the junior most level, but that became my training ground to becoming a business analyst later on. I spent almost 10 years in the telecom sector, but that was my training period, and it was a very fruitful career there.
So, how well did it match with your educational background so far? The business analyst role and that of, what you study in CA, the subjects. Because as far as I understand, a CA subjects would be more based on accounting and auditing, whereas a business analyst would be looking at the data in a very different way, from that of a CA.
Hmm.
So,
So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. And that's the typical perception of a CA. Even when you hear the word CA, the thing that comes to your head is bookkeeping or accounting and at the max taxation. But however,
right.
that's not the case. Even the subjects that are there in CA comprise of business studies, analysis, and reporting also. But
Okay.
CA curriculum is designed in such a manner, since there are no classroom trainings, the bookish
Mm-hmm.
knowledge is limited to, accounting and auditing kind of things. And
Right.
those who've pursued MBA finance, since they have had a proper classroom training, they are more, capable of understanding and analyzing the numbers rather than just reporting the numbers, which CAs do. So I won't
Mm-hmm.
agree with you when you say that, they read the numbers in a different manner. But yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
are certain capability challenges that get sorted once you start the on the job, on the job roles and trainings, which CAs are definitely devoid of.
Okay. So, throughout your journey, you've been working in the analyst role. Uh, how much of the artificial intelligence is kind of taking hold in this field, and how is that getting integrated?
Yeah, so see, digitization is a subject that I can't harp more about. It's a digital age
Right.
after all, and we've seen technologies changing every facet of our life. And that
Absolutely.
doesn't leave behind the organizations or any team for that matter, and that includes finance. So, artificial intelligence has, I would say, completely revolutionized the financial function, finance
Okay.
function, which has been considered more as a back-end support so far, has now
Mm-hmm.
become a value generating kind of a function. Because
Okay.
when you talk about AI, you talk about real-time financial data that aids
Mm-hmm.
in taking decisions, that aids the management in taking decisions at pace.
Right.
Nowadays, we talk about real-time continuous accounting. That has also happened because of AI. And why just AI? I mean, AI, robotics, machine learning is one part, but there are other transformation technologies available. There's
Mm-hmm.
blockchain, there's IoT, there's cloud computing, there's analytics. Because without
Mm-hmm.
digitization, anybody, any professional, any organization will be left far, far behind. So
Okay.
I think it is quintessential to have knowledge of all these technologies and keep pace with the change to stay relevant and not become
Mm-hmm.
redundant.
Okay.
And that's true
So,
for organizations as well.
right. So, Harmeet, with the digitization and the entire reporting system and the way we look at all the analysis and data changing, now for a business analyst role, what are the qualifications that the companies are looking at in the freshers?
So, see, the basic qualification always remains the basic educational degree that you have, which will either be a CA or an MBA finance. But apart
Okay.
from that, the pace at which the technologies are changing, one definitely needs to have some kind of understanding of statistical analysis, of data science. And I believe
Mhm.
all of this is required if you want to implement all of that in your work. Because the main
Okay.
question is, you need to go back and see the way you are doing the work and why is it that you are doing it this way and where is it the world has
Mhm.
evolved to, and to implement
Correct.
all of this in your work, to stop,
Mhm.
pause, observe, learn and implement all of that in your work, you need to have some kind of training. Because you just can't learn everything, number one. And number
Absolutely.
two, the implementation of that learning will be different if you don't have a proper training as such. So nowadays
Mhm.
organizations are also arranging trainings for their team members, because most of them are quite senior, and they can't go back in time to learn all of this.
Absolutely.
So trainings are being organized, and organizations are encouraging the professionals to,
Mhm.
take time out from their work and invest their time into all of this, so that they can also grow along with the organization, keeping pace with the changes that are happening.
Right. So each organization would be using a different kind of technology or softwares for their own analysis and everything. So when a fresher thinks of joining, do you think having a pre-knowledge, a pre-certification in any of the softwares is better, or or are the organizations actually looking at, hiring people and then getting them trained?
See, the number of digital tools, technologies, and softwares are so many that you cannot shortlist the top two or three to, get trained in. Though
Right.
it gives you a benefit of getting trained in one and then having that in your resume to get that break in the organization instead of,
Mhm.
starting on a blank sheet. But yeah, I
Okay.
don't think the organizations expect you to be well versed with the softwares and legacy systems that they are using, and from day
Absolutely.
one get onto it. they
Mhm.
are they are quite open about training the people. However, basic level of understanding is required, and they would expect that. But a fully trained professional in every software and in every digital tool, I don't think that kind of a professional exists, especially in this
Yeah,
world where technologies are way too many to even count on the fingers. So
absolutely.
organizations do understand that, and they are more looking for an appetite to learn in
Mhm.
professionals. They are more looking for people who are open to change, who are ready to be better than what they were yesterday, and invest their
Okay.
time and effort in learning new things. Something that is new to them, people are apprehensive of going about learning that. But I
Mhm.
think organizations are looking in for people who are more curious, and they are ready to invest time and effort in learning all of this. So that should
Okay.
not be a challenge for freshers, I believe.
So, Harmeet, a CA or a MBA in finance typically would be getting jobs in the finance departments of various organizations. But with AI coming, the analysis bit increasing in every single department, be it HR, be it marketing, be it sales as well. Do you think the jobs are opening for people with finance education background in these departments as well?
Well, AI and all these technologies are there, but then they are very customized to the process that one is working in.
Okay.
So though the options for CAs are beyond finance as well, I would say. In finance, ancillary services, so they could get into finance advisory, they could get into teams like mergers and acquisitions, or
Okay.
or risk and assurance, or
Hmm.
analytics, like something that I got into. My team was not a typical finance team in
Hmm.
these organizations, but it was more of an advisory role to the C-suite management.
Okay.
So there are quite a few options apart from the regular finance work that we talk about. But
Hmm.
going beyond finance to HR just because AI is in the picture, I don't see
Yeah.
that happening. I don't
Okay.
see that
Not even from the analysis point of view. I am talking specifically here in terms of analysis, because now even the HR, is getting heavily into analysis of their cost benefit. So is marketing in terms of the various data that they're able to get from the market.
Hmm.
So, for a typical marketing background person, understanding that data and, making it relevant for the team might be difficult. So, do you think that that role is opening for finance people?
Yes, definitely. That role is there. So all kind of analysis, if it relates to the numbers that get translated into P&L.
Right. Okay.
So that comes into CA's kitty. However, if you're talking about marketing, I would say
Hmm.
that it won't be an excuse for a marketing person to say that I don't understand numbers and
Right.
I cannot get into the analysis of marketing spends or whatever.
Right.
So if a finance resource can definitely do all of that, but if that
Right.
marketing resource needs to
Mhm.
stay relevant,
Mm.
that person has got no excuse to say, I don't understand numbers, I don't know AI, boss, so I will just be in the market and I'll concentrate on what I do the best.
Okay.
And that's the beauty about technology. Even if you talk about CAs, you talk about
Mhm.
cloud computing, that was very alien to finance professionals. It was very restricted to IT people, understanding
Right.
domain and all of that. But now it's coming into every process, not just
Mhm.
finance. So when I'm talking about technology, it is surpassing the processes, it is surpassing the teams, and it's a quintessential for every professional. If they need to grow, they need to understand
Mm.
technology. Unfortunately, there's no way out, because we've seen all the human centric work already taken up by machines. Now if
Right.
we want to be there, we need to up ourselves, we need to up our skill sets and get into niche areas, which
Mm.
which will be done in association with the technologies and machines. But then we
Mhm.
will not get irrelevant. At least our skill sets will still be relevant despite the technologies taking so much of limelight in today's world.
Right.
So whether it's finance, whether it's marketing, it's essential for everybody to be digitally literate.
Right. So, Harmeet, with your journey of more than 20 years, can you give us one tip for the freshers that they need to keep in mind to be able to be, successful in their careers?
Yeah, so I have said that before. I believe gone are the days when we could get a degree, sit on it, and hope to retire from our working life at 60. And
Right.
gone are the days when only the doctors needed to study and update themselves. The need of the hour, which even the organizations are looking for, is the appetite to learn, to study,
Hmm.
evolve,
Hmm.
grow, question oneself, be better than what we were yesterday, question all the whys. So, if we want to be there, if we want to create a growth trajectory that's, onwards and upwards, then I
Right.
believe the only tip that I'll have for the viewers here is we need to get into a continuous loop of observe, learn, study, implement, and grow. There's no other way out. I mean, we need to continuously invest in ourselves, we need to
Mhm.
grow and learn new things. If we are open to change, then sky is the limit for everybody.
All right. Thank you so much, Harmeet, for joining us today and sharing your journey and your experience with us.
Thank you for having me, Neha.
So that was Miss Harmeet sharing with us her experience and her journey after completing her CA qualifications. And instead of going in your typical CA roles of auditing or working with a CA firm, she decided to join the corporate world and be part of data analyst role, and how she's grown and how the entire role is changing in terms of its value in the organization, the priority of the role of a data analyst inside the organization, how it's evolving and changing, how much of technology is playing part, is what she shared with us. And as she said that if you're not up to date with technology and learning constantly, you will be left behind. So I hope you learned something from this session, and if you have any questions, do write to us in comments below and we'll get back to you. Also, do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.